In today's video, you'll enter a house steeped in bloody history, and a haunted house whose ghosts not only scare people, but injure them too. But first, if you feel the need to get frisky with a ghost, I suggest you try and spend the night in the first house on our list, which is number 10, the Ancient Ram Inn. Considered to be England's most haunted house, the Ancient Ram Inn is certainly one that looks the part. Whatever your stance on ghosts and the paranormal, it's difficult to imagine anyone not finding a visit to this place unnerving, or at the very least odd. Owner John Humphrey says he's never had a peaceful night's sleep at the place, further adding that he's sharing the house with a multitude of unearthly entities, which include strange glowing lights, various spirits, an extremely malevolent witch, and two particularly lustful demons called an incubus and a succubus. And as with other extremely haunted places, there are numerous sinister tales associated with the Ancient Ram Inn. The place has reportedly witnessed ritual child sacrifice, black magic rituals, suicide, and to have been the hideout of highwaymen. Number 9. The Epperson House. When the home of insurance tycoon Uriah Epperson at 5200 Cherry Street was under construction in 1920, his wife Mary couldn't help but call it the Epperson's Folly. This 4-story, 54-room, $500,000 mansion built just for the two of them was a cross between a Tudor-style home and a castle. It now sits abandoned near the University of Missouri. Kansas City has acquired a reputation as a ghostly hotspot. Having no children of their own, the Eppersons built something of a parent-child relationship with a music teacher named Harriet Bass. The couple even commissioned a custom pipe organ to be built in the house so that Harriet can use it to entertain guests. However, shortly after they moved into the house, Harriet fell ill and died. Both Eppersons also died in the house in the years that followed. The house gained its haunted reputation in the 70s when it was used as a residence hall for the School of Education and as a practice and office space for the UMKC Conservatory. People in the house started to report seeing ghostly figures roaming around the house, as well as hearing disembodied footsteps and the unmistakable sound of a pipe organ emanating from the basement. Number 8. The House of the Seven Gables. Salem, Massachusetts is known for its haunted history, perhaps none more so than that of the Salem witch trials of 1692. That event alone seemed to have set off a firestorm of paranormal activity. And anyone who has looked into Salem's past surely knows about the House of the Seven Gables. This colonial mansion dates back to 1668 and is widely known thanks to American author Nathaniel Hawthorne and his novel The House of the Seven Gables. Having sat within the heart of Salem for so long and seeing so many people pass through its doors, it makes sense that the House of the Seven Gables may have acquired a ghost or two in its lifetime. Perhaps the best known and most cited spirit to inhabit the House of the Seven Gables is that of Susanna Ingersoll, who owned and lived in the property during the 1700s and 1800s. To this day, many claim to have sighted Susanna all throughout the home, especially peering out of windows before suddenly dissolving. The spirit of a young boy is also said to haunt the place and can usually be seen playing in the attic. Number 7. The Molly Brown House. This house has a place of great historical significance in Colorado and local history. It is said that the original owner still walks the halls of her home today. The said owner, Molly Brown, was a noted American philanthropist, activist, and socialite. She was also called the unsinkable Molly Brown due to the fact that she survived the sinking of the Titanic. She clung to life back then. Maybe her spirit is stubbornly clinging to the house today. Molly and her husband, J.J. Brown, as well as other family members, are reported to haunt the place and are felt or sometimes even seen all around the home. People often report smelling pipe smoke in the house and attribute it to J.J. Brown, who was an avid pipe smoker. Light bulbs will unexplainably be unscrewed and furniture sometimes rearranged, with witnesses reporting that a woman in a Victorian-era dress doing the rearranging. Number 6. The LaLaurie Mansion. If you know anything about the ghosts and hauntings in New Orleans, there's no doubt that you've heard about the LaLaurie Mansion. Sometimes people in the city won't even call it that, choosing to refer to 1140 Royal Street as the Haunted House instead. For almost 200 years, there have been reports of paranormal activity coming from this house. It shouldn't surprise many that many hauntings are attributed to the slaves that Madame LaLaurie kept on the property. There is a room in the LaLaurie Mansion where slaves were often kept, and reports of moaning coming from that room are common. Number 5. Loftus Hall. All the houses on today's list are extremely haunted, but only one of them has been visited by the devil himself allegedly. Ever since it was built in 1350, Loftus Hall has remained an architectural marvel. Though this stunning Georgian mansion in Ireland has long been revered for its beauty, it's also inspired terror for its chilling tales of ghosts. Legend holds that a mysterious man knocked on the door one night in 1775. And though everything seemed normal at first, the family soon discovered that he was the devil himself. As the story goes, when the owner's daughter saw his cloven hooves, she was traumatized for the rest of her life, and her spirit has wandered the halls ever since. Loftus Hall is considered by many to be Ireland's most haunted place, and has attracted ghost hunters and visitors from the world over, who spend nights trying to catch a glimpse or even record all the strange paranormal happenings at that place. Number 4. The Villisca Axe Murder House. This tiny home in Villisca, Iowa became famous in 1912 for being the site of Iowa's worst case of mass killings, where 8 people were brutally murdered in their sleep. The case remains unsolved to this day. However, the very same house was thrust into the limelight once more decades later, for a different reason. You see, the house has developed the nasty reputation of being the most haunted house in Iowa. After the murders, the house remained vacant until 1994, when it was purchased by Darwin and Martha Lynn, who wanted to turn the house into a small historical museum. Almost immediately, the Lynns were inundated with calls from paranormal researchers, hoping to get their permission to communicate with the many spirits of the dead that are said to inhabit the place. Although the owners themselves don't like to talk about their ghostly experiences, they did admit that they feel like there's something or some things there. Disembodied footsteps can regularly be heard, as well as voices of people that cannot be seen. Dark shadows seem to move all throughout the house. People have also reported seeing apparitions of children, and the house gives off a bad vibe overall. And with that, it's now time for today's best pick. Today's best pick is being called the most haunted house in the US, but does it deserve that reputation? Find out more about it next. Number 3. The Willow's Weep House. Reportedly the most haunted house in America, the house known as Willow's Weep was built in the 1800s and it's shaped like a cross. Some say an upside-down cross, which is said to be the cause of the paranormal happenings in it. But upside down or right side up really depends on how one looks at it, right? But that's neither here nor there, because people definitely agree on one thing, that a lot of unexplainable things happen within its walls. Unexplained bangings on the walls and doors swinging open and shut on their own are regular occurrences here, but they aren't the most disturbing hauntings of Willow's Weep. The ghosts here get physical. A former owner of the house named Beth Johnson reported that she was attacked by something unseen in the house, resulting in 6 very painful claw marks on her back. Shortly after this incident, Johnson hired a maintenance man to do some work on the house. One day, Johnson heard a cry from the outside, and when she investigated, she found the maintenance man crumpled against the wall of the house unconscious. It was later discovered that his spine was nearly fractured in several places. Johnson theorized that the maintenance man got too near to the willow tree in the property, which she believed housed the spirits of vengeful spirits and demons. But this isn't the only possible source of the house's deadly phantoms. In the mid-1950s, while replacing a floorboard, residents found a crumbling book in the space between the floor and the packed dirt under the house. Upon further inspection, they saw the strange book was a grimoire, also known as a witch's handbook, filled with horrific images of brutality and dark incantations. Number 2. The Whaley House. When it comes to hauntings and haunted beginnings, California's Whaley House can give Willow's Weep a run for its money. Because while Willow's Weep saw death within its walls, the Whaley House saw death even before it was built. It all started with a man named Yankee Jim Robinson, or more specifically, his death. Yankee Jim was a notorious thief in the mid-1800s, and when he was caught, he was hung on the exact spot where the Whaley House was built later. I know what you're thinking. Who in their right mind would build their house right on top of the place of an execution? Well, Thomas Whaley didn't seem to mind because he bought the parcel of land for way cheaper than market value and built his house there. Shortly after moving his family in, a string of misfortunes hit the Whaley family, which included the house burning down, premature deaths, and even a suicide. It is said that all of those who died in the house, or the property for that matter, haven't really rested in peace and haunt the house and make their presence known through strange sounds and aromas, as well as ghostly apparitions. Number 1. The Monte Cristo Homestead. According to paranormal researchers, the Monte Cristo Homestead in New South Wales, Australia is home to at least 10 different paranormal entities, making it the most haunted dwelling in Australia. Chief among these entities are the ghosts of former owner Christopher Crawley and his wife Elizabeth, who both died in the house. Christopher's spirit is reported to be mostly just there and not hurting anyone, but Elizabeth's spirit is said to be the same as she was when she was alive. She still rules the house with an iron fist, judging everyone who dares to enter her house. If she doesn't like you, she'll try to scare you out with ice-cold air falling on your skin. Then there's the ghosts of two former housemates, who are rumored to have had affairs with Christopher and both got pregnant. The first took her own life while pregnant, and the second gave birth to a son she named Harold. The boy was involved in a terrible accident in the house and sustained head trauma which disabled him for life. Instead of getting medical attention, Harold was locked up and kept in chains in the coach room, before eventually being put in an asylum and dying there. See you guys next time.